Welcome to the Playbook for Amazon podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lieber, and the goal of this podcast is to share what's working today that's helping my company, Turnkey Product Management, sell over 8 figures per year on Amazon for our clients. We will share with you the actionable steps, systems, and playbook that you can plug into your business to boost your sales on Amazon. Let's go. In today's episode, I'm going to break down how a small startup coffee company grew from $10,000 per month on Amazon to over $300,000 per month on Amazon in their first year of business. So let's dive in and see how exactly they did it. So a little while back, I got a call from a friend and he said, hey, I've got this friend that has, their company just started up. They're selling coffee. They've got a great product and they're just getting started. They want to grow and they don't know too much about Amazon, and I think they could use your help. So I went and visited their office. The VP of marketing at the time said, we tried setting up our products on Amazon, and it's very challenging. It's very time consuming and cumbersome, and they're having a ton of issues and low sales. But they were having a lot of success on their website. They were familiar with how to do Shopify and how to do external ads and media buying, but they just didn't have the bandwidth and the expertise on the Amazon side of things. We took a look and quickly saw a lot of room for growth and potential. And so I want to break down some of the first steps that we took and what helped them to grow, from $10,000 a month to over $300,000 per month in their first year of business. And then hopefully you can apply those lessons, or at least a few of them you should be able to pull and apply it to your business. Okay, so number one, VitaCup, they had a great product. They really took their time sourcing it. It wasn't just an off-the-shelf coffee product. They made a really, really great, innovative product. They had a lot of flavors right off of the bat. And so I tried it, and it was really, really well done product. Number two, they also did really good with branding and packaging. So it looked like a premium product when you look at the packaging. Like you could imagine seeing it immediately, at Costco or Bed Bath & Beyond, something like that. They were off to a great start and I saw the potential. But when you look at their Amazon listing, none of that was reflected and there was a lot of room for opportunity. So where did we start? First, we started with a competitor analysis and looked at all the competition. It was our first venture into the coffee space. We hadn't sold there before. And so we learned a lot from the competitors, and then we applied some of those principles and tactics to their listings. Another thing that we did was they were missing enhanced brand content. They hadn't done Amazon brand registry. They hadn't done infographics. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to just overhaul and optimize the listings. And they didn't have video on their listing as well. And they had the capability to do that. We just had to tweak the existing video that they had that said, go order at VitaCup.com. And we just changed it. And at the very end, we just took that part out. So it didn't mention their website. And then it was compliant for Amazon. So there's just some real quick fixes that we were able to point out and implement in a very short period of time. And then immediately the conversion rate jumped significantly on their product page. Next, they had a lot of different variations, as I mentioned, but they were all separate variations. They had basically a different parent listing for whether it was French vanilla or whether it was Colombian or whatever flavors that they had. They were basically like 6 different listings. And when you do that, all of the reviews from each listing were separate. So one listing had 0 reviews, one listing had 4 reviews, one listing had 9 reviews, one listing had 5 reviews. And so immediately we looked at that and said, these products, what do we think about running a test and try putting them all onto one parent listing and making all of those scents and variations child listings. And then when the customer comes, now you add up all of those reviews and they're aggregated. And now all of a sudden they immediately had over 30 reviews in total. And that boosted the conversion rate as well. So that was a real low-hanging fruit that, again, boosts conversion rate. So now once we've boosted the conversion rate and optimized the sales copy and added video, the next step was we started sending additional traffic to their product pages. One other thing that I want to cover as well is because these products are consumable, right? Their repeat purchases is a really big opportunity. And so what we did was we turned on Amazon Subscribe and Save. They had Subscribe and Save on their website, on the Shopify site, and they were doing a great job with that. But they hadn't turned it on for Amazon. You have to physically, apply and turn it on in order to, be eligible for that. And immediately once that happened, then people started signing up for Amazon Subscribe and Save because people just trust it, and it's a great way to get repeat recurring purchasers. And so after we set that up, then after a couple of months, the one thing that this company was really, really great at was they understood their numbers. They were very data driven. And so we were able to help them pull some of the stats from Amazon. They would aggregate it with their stats from Shopify. But you don't even need to aggregate it and combine the two. But even if you just want to focus on Amazon, understanding what is your customer repeat order rate, right? And so they knew that number. I forget what it was exactly at this point, but it was around, I don't know, probably 20 or 25% of customers that ordered once would come back and buy again, for example. And I bet if you're in the supplement space or, the food space, I bet you probably have a similar rate, right? It might be between 10 and 30%, something like that. By knowing their numbers, that allowed them to then calculate their lifetime value of a customer. And when they're able to calculate the lifetime value of a customer, then you know what you can pay to acquire customers, right? So because they were better at trying to get, an increased repeat customer rate, and they sold their prices at a premium price, you add all that together and they could crush the competition who were selling low dollar products and weren't getting high repeat purchase rates or doing subscribe and save. By having those pillars in place, they were able to spend more on advertising at, more like break even or even a loss sometimes, because on the front end, because they knew their numbers that they would make up for it in the repeat orders on the back end. And they were a new brand. And so they understood the power of acquiring new customers. I mean, you got to get the word out. You got to get the brand out. You got to get your product and your coffee in other people's hands. And then they were really, really good as well at social media. So they were good at getting their customers to engage and post pictures. They would do giveaways and bonuses and discounts if people would, tag them on social media or tag some friends. And so there was lots of user-generated content out there. They did a great job with influencers as well. They were able to, get the product in some micro influencers as well as some larger influencers. I forget what, I think it's like the housewives of Atlanta or whatever city that they're doing in these days. But, those people have like sometimes 1 million followers, and when they post a video, I mean, it can really help. So those are a few things that really, really worked well. And then also on the Amazon side, they were not running lightning deals. They were eligible for them, but they didn't know that they existed. And so that's where our team just went in and set up the lightning deals. And there's some strategies to maximize the profitability of lightning deals that I'll probably cover on another day, because that's a whole separate topic. Next, once they had great products, then what they did was we looked at the competition, and there's a lot of competitors that were selling bundles or sample packs, right? Because you just want people to try the different flavors. And so we launched like a sample pack that just had like one of each flavor, one cup of each flavor basically. And, the goal wasn't to make a ton of money off of that, but it was just get it out in people's hands. And so we would try to like break even on the sample pack. And then they added more and more bundles, like larger bundles for those repeat customers. Don't just make them just buy the one pack of coffee. Give them an opportunity in the discount if they want to buy, $100 worth of coffee, or bundle different flavors together for discounts. And so all of those promotions and variations were very visible. And so we got that increase, again, the average order value of the customer as well as the lifetime value of the customer. So those are a couple things that went really, really well. And then again, because they knew their numbers and their profit margins were really healthy, they would go through a phase really early on where they said, we're willing to lose money on ads, and because they understood the power of it. So we actually set a target to actually lose a little bit of money on the front end, and then we would make it up on the back end. And then once we acquire those customers and the sales were coming in more consistently, Subscribe and Save had been bulked up, then we changed our advertising profitability targets to be back to break even or profitable. So sometimes it makes sense to have a strategic plan that say, hey, for this month, let's go into a customer acquisition mode. And so they understood they thought long term. That's like kind of one of the themes is they treated it like a long-term business. They didn't care about, I want to make sure I don't lose a penny this month. They understood, like, they invested in video assets. They had great videos. They gave away products to influencers. They spent money on advertising aggressively early on with the hopes that, and understanding that in the long run, they're going to crush the competition. And that's exactly what they did. And now they're doing over $10 million a year as a business as a whole, and probably larger than that. Another thing they did a really good job of is customer reviews. When we started with them, they were, like I said, around 20 or 30 customer reviews. Now they have over 1,000 reviews across all of their SKUs. We helped them implement some really, sort of cooler, aggressive review strategies that just worked really, really well. And, we'll cover those, like, again, reviews is a whole separate large topic. So we'll be doing a future review topic in detail at some point in the future. So I'll save that for another day. So to wrap up, this company, they thought long term. They knew what they were doing. They knew their numbers. They had a great product. They understood the power of advertising, and they knew what they had to do. And they also knew what they were great at, right? They were great at launching products and sourcing products. They were great at Shopify, and they were great at media buying, like Facebook ads and YouTube ads. And they actually hired experts in those areas. They had other experts that are really great at those areas. And then they hired our company Turnkey to help be the expert in the Amazon space. So they hired all these experts in different silos, and as a whole, it was like a multiplier effect. Think about what can you do right now? Maybe you need just to focus on one of the areas that we've talked about today. Maybe you need a Facebook advertising expert that can scale a business. Maybe you need an Amazon expert, but think about that and think about the long game. And I think that will pay dividends for you in the long run. All right. Thank you for listening to that episode on VitaCup's insane growth, getting to over $3 million in the first year of business. Take a moment to really think about what's one or two things that you can apply to your business. I know I talked about a lot of different strategies that worked, but what's one that you're missing that you could apply? Maybe it's improving the quality of your products. Maybe it's launching another variation or a bundle or a premium version of your product, right? And really differentiating yourself in the marketplace. Maybe it's increasing your repeat orders. Have you turned on Subscribe and Save? Is your product something that people would subscribe to on a monthly basis or quarterly basis? Do you have that set up on Amazon or on your website, on Shopify or whatever platform that you use? What about, with where you're at? Do you know your numbers? Do you know the lifetime value of your customer? Do you know the average repeat purchase rate? Is it 20% of your customers? Is it 3%? And then try, if it's really low, but it should be higher probably, then try to think of one of the strategies I talked about today, or just research how to increase your repeat purchase rate, whether it's subscriptions or just following up, finding other ways to follow up with your existing customers and upselling them or cross-selling your other products. So I really hope that this case study was helpful. This is one of those companies that it was so fun to work with, and they just took off. And there were so many different reasons that when you add all those factors and pillars together, it builds that foundation and it's just ready for explosive growth. So I truly believe that VitaCup was able to grow so quickly because they wanted to hire the world's best at everything. Like they hired a professional videographer team and had world-class commercial grade videos. I mean, it could have been, on ESPN as a commercial or, a Super Bowl almost. And then they, went out and they hired a Facebook advertising and media buying expert company that they knew how to do that better than themselves. And they just understood that power. And then they also hired us, turnkey product management, because they didn't know Amazon and they didn't have the time to learn it all themselves. They would rather just pay an expert to come in and overhaul it and grow it. And that's exactly what happened. And as a result, they're incredibly successful and profitable today. All right. So there was obviously no one secret to VitaCup's success, but I will say that properly executing on the strategies made all the difference in their sales. So if you want to know more about the turnkey way or how we rolled out those impactful strategies like the subscribe and save strategies and gained exposure there, or how we properly planned out all their promotions and major holidays, if you're interested in any of that, I invite you to head over to turnkeyproductmanagement.com and click on the Growth Strategies Accelerator. Right now, we have a crazy deal going and we have a ton of bonuses and really cool stuff. But basically, the goal of that is we've packed all the strategies that are working in our business today with our clients, including a lot of the ones we covered today's episode. And if you just apply one or two of those, you will immediately grow your sales and make more money. Thank you so much for listening today to the podcast, and we'll catch you next time.